Our mission is to build strong businesses in our community and put our people to work. And this business, it's got to be business because that window of opportunity is closing for many small businesses. Shooting the person that you are asking to rehire you, that's probably down at the bottom of the list. To be fair with people, you might get the best price, but sometimes you're winning the battle but losing the war. Let's get our economic freedom on. Good morning and welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I save a soul along the way, hey, let's just call that icing on the cake. Now, the mission is to build strong businesses in our community so we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. So if you ever find yourself at a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, we have it right here. Just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show. We have some solutions for you if you are a business owner. As simple as that. Now, you can go to marketingpulpit.com if you want to find out more about the show, or if you want to join in the conversation today, just go to marketingpulpit.com. You can also find us on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and welcome to the LinkedIn family. So, yes, we are here on a mission. Our raison d'etre, our reason for being, our cause, purpose, whatever you want to call it, is to help small businesses succeed. That's been my calling since, as long as I can remember. My dad was a business owner. He was a sharecropper, went from sharecropper. Then he got a small business loan back in great life, a long time ago. And I guess that's where I got the inkling. And I used to work in the store with him when I was probably about 8 years old. And that bug just never left me. So thank you for joining in today. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in. Thank you for the first time viewers. Welcome. What took you so long? And to those who've been tuning in over the past 12 years, thank you again for your support, because we could not have done it without you. You have been an instrumental part of our success, and it does not go unnoticed. Let's see here. I am Robert Gatewood. I'm a business developer by trade. I've been doing this probably 30 plus years. I cut my teeth in corporate America like many business owners. So I hit the ground running when I came out of corporate America and started my own company. Right now, I am president and CEO of Gatewood Marketing and Web. We are a business development company, advertising, branding, technology. Been doing that for some time now. I'm also an adjunct professor at Prince George's Community College here in the DC area, where I teach marketing and I teach networking and social media strategy. I've written a couple of books, one called Played in Full, The Marketing Exploitation of Black America, and a second book called Smarter Than the Boss. I'm also an adjunct. I'm also a consultant with the Small Business Administration, where I help companies in the 8A space. And so I've got a couple of receipts. Been at this for a minute, but that's not to brag. That's to let you know that I take this seriously. This has been my purpose. Everything I touch, whether it's the books I write, the classes I teach, the consulting that I do, my business that I own, it's all about building businesses and helping companies survive. It's just weave it all together, and that's what I do. So we have an exciting show today. We're going to talk about something that I don't think is talked about enough, and it's called integrity. Integrity. Sometimes they shy away from integrity because they feel like there's no money in it. It's like, why be honest and upright and upstanding, and when you're going to end up losing money? Well, I'm going to turn that notion upside down today. I'm going to show you how integrity is supported by some of the fundamentals of marketing, and it's a profitable proposition. You don't have to be a dirtbag or scumbag or somebody who's unethical to succeed in business. I've been fighting that notion since day one. I've always felt sometimes you look around and you see the folks who are just doing horrible things. They seem to be climbing, and the folks who are trying to do it right, who are trying to be righteous and just, They can't seem to get a break. Well, I'm going to say stay the course, and we're going to talk about that coming up on our marketing sermon today. We're going to talk about integrity. It's the gift that keeps on giving once you get it right. It's not the lost art that some people think it is. And it's so we're going to talk about that later in the show. Let's see what else is going on. We're going to talk about the business news as we do every week. And boy, is it a doozy this week. In news, you don't have to go out and become a drama writer or make fictitious writer anymore, because life is stranger than fiction, particularly when we start talking about some of the things that are happening in politics and news and how they have begun to overlap. There's always been some concentricity, but now they seem to just layer on top of each other. You can't separate them. And so we're going to talk about some of those items in the news coming up after the first break. First, we're going to talk about actually this month. We're in the month of August right now, and there are some observances. I like to talk about what the observances are for the month that we're in. This is actually Black Business Month. That's been I'm not sure if many people are aware of that, but August has been designated as Black Business Month. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more when we get to the news items. It's National Dog Month. To all you dog lovers out there, man, these dogs have been in the news a lot lately, biting people and mauling people. Man, if you got a dog out there, man, you better keep that thing, treat it right, and do what you have to do. Don't let it run out here and bite people, because that seems to have been in the news quite often lately. It's Family Fun Month. Hey, what's not to like about that, right? National Hair Loss Awareness Month. Hairline keeps. I need to read up on that. National Sandwich Month, National Wellness Month. Hey, I like that one. Back to School Month. Yeah, we'll be going back to school. Teachers are some of them are probably in distress this month because that summer vacation is coming to an end. I was talking to a teacher yesterday, and she was kind of bemoaning the fact that they had to start back up. I think in another week or two, they'll be back in the classrooms. They'll come back a little before the kids. Some of the kids are coming back right before Labor Day or afterwards. But the teachers, they have to get in there a little early to get things all set up. And I want to say good morning to some folks. Good morning, Brother Gerald Brown, one of the greatest plumbers in town. Thank you for tuning in, as he has so often. Also see Cheryl. Good morning, Cheryl. Thank you for tuning in. Long time no see. Glad to see you still hanging in there. She's a consummate business owner, always sticking her toe in that entrepreneurial pool and seeing success. So continued success to you and everybody else who's tuning in. If you want to get your shout out on, or if you want me to acknowledge you, just drop a note in the feed and I'll shout you out and let people know you are and give a little background if I know it. So many people that are clients and past acquaintances tune into the show on a regular basis, and we do get quite a few new people. Some people from overseas, like our brother Emmanuel Christ. Good morning, Emmanuel. He's a regular listener and good brother. So thank you again for tuning in, and once again for making this show the success that it has been and continues to be. Now we're going to talk about later, like I said, we're going to talk about ethics later on. We're going to talk about integrity. But before I get to that, I was thinking the other day, I heard this old expression. I'm sure you all have probably heard it too. And it goes like this: a fast horse doesn't run long. Now, have y'all ever heard of that? A fast horse doesn't run long. Now, this kind of ties into our sermon later on, but I thought I'd bring it up a little earlier because I know many of you out here who've been seeking business success. You're like, man, when am I gonna get rich? Like Gaywood, I've been tuning into you for 12 years now. Where's my millions? Well, and now some of you all have seen me for the past 10, 12 years. But let me tell you something, folks. I've been around a lot longer than that. I already told you my dad was a sharecropper, and he had a little small business. So my business roots goes way back past the time you've seen me. And so I'm a walking example of the antithesis or the opposite of the fast horse not running long. Now, what that conveys is that sometimes the first horse out of the gate is not the one who's going to ultimately win the race. And you've seen them, man. They jump out there, they just all ahead of everybody. They get about around the halfway around the lap, and they get winded, they run out of steam. That horse that was laying in the background, pacing, and taking the right breaths and stride, and had the rhythm going, just come around. Next thing you know, that horse wins the race. Now, this applies to many instances. We see these overnight sensations, and we do start to question our own tactics. We're like, man, maybe I need to do what they're doing. Maybe I need to jump on this Bitcoin, or I need to go out here and make these side deals and these little things that are not necessarily ethical or legal. Maybe I need to speed things up a little bit. This is taking too long the way I'm doing it. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to tell you, the fast horse does not last long. Because sometimes you see those folks that were the overnight sensation. You see the ones that were like everywhere. They just sprung up out of nowhere. And you're saying, man, you start to get a little insecure. You start to feeling like, hey, I tried to do it the right way, and look what's happened to me. I'm still out here struggling. I still have to get up and go to work every morning. This person out on a yacht with a Cadillac that they won through their marketing campaign, and you're sitting out here sweating and doing it the old-fashioned way. Then all of a sudden, you look around and say, what are you? Matter of fact, whatever happened to so-and-so? Whatever happened to Joe or Fred or Susie that had just won that new car, or I saw him on social media with 1 million followers, or all of a sudden they just vanished, it disappeared. Makes you want to go, I'm gonna tell you folks, now this is not to besmirk anyone, but sometimes the folks that took that fast lane, they are that horse that didn't last long. Now that's not everybody, but it's many. Sometimes that overnight sensation has taken a unsustainable path to success. Worst case scenario, they may have skirted the law. Sometimes they fudge the numbers. Sometimes they align themselves with unscrupulous characters. Some have chosen short-sighted solutions. Some have chosen pretentiousness over prudence. Just playing through caution to the wind. But there are some instances where some people, they're all just that good. They didn't take any shortcuts. They're just good. But I tell you this too, the ones that are just that good, there's a very good chance that they didn't pop up overnight. Maybe you just didn't see them. Like some of these singing groups, they pop up out of nowhere. I think about the Stylistics. I think about the Spinners. I think about some of these groups that we say, wow, man, you saw them back in the 70s and 80s. You didn't realize that they were doing the Chitlin circuit. They were working in nightclubs. They had a gospel group. They started when they were in the church, when they were like 10, 12, 13 years old. Just because you just saw them when they're in their heyday doesn't mean that they didn't put in the time. So the moral of this story, stay the course. Don't be sidetracked by these illusions of success that others sometimes display. Because that success story you see is most likely one of these scenarios, one or two of these scenarios, one of these two. Either one, they've been working on it for years and you just didn't know about it. Or two, they may be that fast horse that was here today, but they may be gone tomorrow. Folks, let's do this. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some of the items in the news. We're going to talk about Uncle Joe Biden and his clamp down on the PPP loans and the 87,000 IRS agents that are about to hit the streets. Wow, man, talking about that fast horse. You really better be fast now, because I'm telling you, they're coming. So hang on for a second. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We'll be back in a minute. So don't go anywhere. Tell somebody that Gatewood is on the air, and he's got some news. He's got some advice. He's building businesses and putting people to work. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment. As you listen to the items in the news, if you see something you'd like to opine on, go to marketingpulpit.com and you'll see a method for getting onto the show, where you can voice your opinion as well as promote your upcoming event or product, or if you have a book.
I just really want to encourage people to get their things organized and documented.
Have parents who are involved in their child's life, but still things happen.
I found out a lot of things about social media. It can help you, and it also can harm you.
Sometimes children in the street, they're going to learn from something. So it's best that they learn from us.
Hey, I want to promote me and another partner in comedy. We decided to collaborate.
All right, welcome back to the Marketing Pulpit Show. I am Robert Gatewood, your host, and I'm here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. I'm not here to save your soul. That was my daddy's job. He was a Baptist minister. I'm here to save your business. And I'm telling you, I don't know everything, but I know a lot about business. I've been at this for a while. I know this. You're not going to get there overnight. So if that's your notion going into business is to get rich quick, just hang on to that day job. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Well, not anything possible, but you got to be real. I got to tell you, got to be real with you. Okay. Good morning, Gracie. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in this morning from down in Carolina. Good to see you this morning and for being a regular listener. So everybody who's tuning in, the second mouse gets the cheese. So everybody, thank you. Thank you again. Thank you again. Thank you again for everybody, all your comments. And if you want to comment also, we have a platform now where you can actually get on the show. You can say it right up here next to me, as we just showed in the last commercial. And we have the instructions. You can go to marketingpulpit.com. There's a button right there on the homepage that will allow you to join the show. And you can talk about any of the items that we're going to discuss in the news. And after you finish giving us your opinion, you can actually plug your business, your book, your podcast, your event, whatever it is that you're trying to promote. We're giving you an opportunity to do that at no cost. That's right. People have paid good money to get on this show, but we're offering it to you right now at no cost. The cost for admission, we want to hear your opinion on some of these business stories and how you might do things differently, how you might suggest we move forward, the pros, the cons, if it applies to you. So just go to marketingpulpit.com and you'll see the information right there on the homepage. There's a button that says join the show, and you can promote your book, your event, your products, your service, your podcast, whatever it is you're trying to do. We're giving you the opportunity to do it by just going to marketingpulpit.com. Give us your opinion, give us your plug, and we'll put you right here on the air next to me. Let's talk about some items in the news. Biden announced a bipartisan effort to clamp down on the PPP abusers. That's the payroll protection program, which was launched during the COVID-19 to help small business owners, well, not just small business owners, but business owners who were in distress. People were having a hard time because people couldn't come to work. Companies were having a difficult time meeting payroll. And so they put this money out here, and it was called the economic disaster. But it was two different plans. There was the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, and the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loans. Well, Biden has said, look, if you have fraudulently used this money, and many people have, my goodness, we've seen these young kids out here with, I mean, they're literally lighting cigars with $1,000, with $100 bills. They got this gold jewelry, and there are many young people and old people, even corporations, who abuse the program. And Biden has said, you can't hide. We're coming to get you. Now, that has put a lot of anxiety on a lot of people. I'm not sure that's going to help his re-election chances because so many people are affected or impacted. Either they did something wrong or untoward, or they know someone. And so this has not been a very popular move for many. But like you said, if you did the crime, some people are gonna have to pay the time. So that's been a lot of discussion about that. Now, if the EIDL was a loan, it's more like a regular loan where it's a 30-year loan, and so that was not quite as abused quite as badly as the PPP, because the PPP you had to exaggerate the number of employees you had, and that's where a lot of people are going to get into trouble because they made up fake businesses and they exaggerated how many employees they had, whereas the EIDL was more of a straight loan backed by the Small Business Administration. Actually, there was actually a program called the Capital Access Financial System that issued the loan, and they did extend it from they deferred it a couple of times. I think originally you had 2 years from the original date of the note, and they've extended it now to 30 months from the date of the note. So if you have one of those loans, you basically have until 30 months before you have to start paying it back. If you're not sure, contact your accountant. Matter of fact, one of our co-hosts, Felicia Day, the accountant, she'll be glad to help you walk you through this. And matter of fact, I saw her on Channel 9 the other morning. She was talking about taxes. So congratulations to her. Now, in conjunction with this, the IRS has announced the plan to hire 87,000 agents. That's a lot of folks. Now, of course, this has been politicized like everybody else, like everything else. The people who are anti-Biden are saying that they're going to come kick down the doors of regular small business owners and haul them off to jail. And of course, the administration is saying that's not the case. They're saying it's actually to go after more of the big companies who've been abusing and have not paid their fair share. So the premise is that they've doubled the size of the agency's staff to go out and find billions of dollars in tax revenues that go uncollected each year. And like I said, since everything now is politicized, it has caused quite a bit of discussion on the left and the right and everywhere in between. And some people are really kind of freaking out about it. But I say, hey, talk to your accountant. If you don't have an accountant, we can recommend one for you. And like I said, I started this show off. It's never too late to become a company or person with integrity and just try to stay out of trouble going forward. Don't try to be that fast horse to get all this money in a hurry, and a lot of it's ill-gotten. Just don't do that. Okay, I've been beating this drum for many years. I've said, don't do it. If you're thinking about doing something, fudging the numbers, creating extra staff that you don't have, if you're thinking about exaggerating, if you're thinking about doing something illegal, something unethical, don't do it. It's going to come back at you. It's going to show up on social media, or you're going to have one of these agents showing up at your door. Just one more reminder. As I stated earlier, this is Black Business Month. August is the National Black Business Month. According to census data, Black business owners make up about 10% of the United States businesses. It was created by John William Templeton and Frederick E. Jordan in 2004. And the purpose is to bring attention to Black business owners. And there are more than 2 million such businesses across the country. And this month also encourages people to support Black-owned businesses so they may keep growing. And I support that. If you know a Black-owned business and you have an opportunity to support that business, do it. Why wouldn't you not do that? My company is Black-owned. I'm Black as they get. I don't use that as a crutch. I'd say we're good as any business of any color, but we do happen to be a Black-owned business. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm proud of it, as a matter of fact, because what I want to do is to set the standard for not just Black businesses, but how a business should present itself, by how it treats its people with ethics, standards, integrity, good service. And so I'm proud to wear that on my sleeve. And the fact that I'm a Black business, that's just a plus. Okay, let's see here. The Department of Justice is suing Google. Again, it's an antitrust suit because when you think about it, Google has this ecosystem that it just, how can you compete against Google if you are any kind of company who's trying to do what Google does? And so it's an antitrust lawsuit. And so they say Google owns the tools that help websites sell ads, the tools that advertisers use to buy space, the platform where online auctions are held, and they say there should be some type of breakup. I guess that's what the suit is about. 16 states and Puerto Rico are currently suing Google for monopolizing ad technology. Of course, Google said, "No, I didn't. It wasn't me." He said that. Shaggy, wasn't me. Well, prices have gone down at the pump. Thank goodness. It's under $4 a gallon. And I'll get a little nervous. I'm like, where can this thing go? And I pulled out a bicycle and started working from home 2 days a week. Like, man, I'm not liking this at all. It had hit over $5 a gallon. And so people are starting to see some respite. And so that also affects not just your cars, but rocket fuel, so airline tickets and transportation costs, getting food from the harbor to the truckers across the country. And so you should start seeing some relief in pricing, not only at the pump, but maybe in airlines and other places that are affected by gas prices. Let's see here. Disney has told Netflix, get out of the way. We are now number one. So Netflix, who had been the king of the hill for some time now. So now Disney has moved to number one on the streaming services. They have 3 platforms. They have Disney, ESPN, and Hulu. These are all run by Disney. Of course, Netflix is Netflix. And Disney has 100 million subscribers right now. Wow. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of folks. Now, here's a concern that many young people are having right now, what do you call them, the Generation X. They're worrying about having to support their parents. Because every generation, when you think about it, this is kind of like the cycle of life. You have your kids, you raise them up, then you get to a certain point where the kids go off and they can support themselves. Then as soon as they're gone, now you got to go focus your attention on your parents. So the people in the middle really don't have much of a break. Well, now the young people are very concerned that they won't be able to keep that pattern going because many of them have chosen different way to live. Really, they're not buying houses. They're not safe. They're living their best life, and they're saying we don't want to have to take care of mom and pop when the time comes. Now that's 62% say they're worried about their parents' financial situation in face of inflation, and they're saying like, how are we going to make up this ground? So that's something to be thinking about. So that's like a warning bell to the baby boomers who expecting their kids to come around and save them in the end. Better get that business going, get you some recurring revenue up in here. Just telling you, the writing is on the wall. These systems are being, quite a few apple carts have been upset recently. Let's see what else is going on here. I think what we're going to do, we're going to take another quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about war in the workplace. This is a segment where we talk about how people have lost their ever-loving minds in the face of this pandemic. I'm not sure if the pandemic is the cause, but the two have surely coincided, where you have more people who are engaged in road rage. These ride share companies are having all kind of problems. Restaurants, or people are shooting people through the drive-through. They're beating up the managers. The managers are beating up the staff. So we're going to talk about some of these items coming up in a minute. We call this section "War in the Workplace" because it seems like there once upon a time where stakeholders, they really work together. Clients, customers, vendors, suppliers, partners, funders, contractors, and clients, they work together. They work in concert. But now they have literally turned on each other. And what we have is war in the workplace. We're going to talk about that when we come back in a moment. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here. And if you want to join the conversation, just go to marketingpulpit.com, push that button that says join the show, and you'll get the instructions. We'll put you right up here on the screen, let you put in a minute opinion, and then give you a minute or two to plug your book, your service, your website, your podcast, and it will blast out to all of our thousands of listeners and viewers. So hang on a second. We'll be right back in a minute. As you listen to the items in the news, if you see something you'd like to opine on, go to marketingpulpit.com and you'll see a method for getting onto the show where you can voice your opinion as well as promote your upcoming event or product, or if you have a book.
I just really want to encourage people to get their things organized and documented.
Have parents who are involved in their child's life, but still things happen.
I found out a lot of things about social media. It can help you, and it also can harm you.
Times we've been in the street, they're going to learn from something. So it's best that they learn from us.
Hey, I want to promote me and another partner in comedy. We decided to collaborate.
All right, welcome back to the show. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls. We're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. If I save a soul along the way, that's just icing on the cake. At least my dad was a minister, so yeah, maybe some of that rubbed off on me. Let's talk about some items in the news. Now, later in the show, we're going to talk about integrity. Can you really make money and still have integrity? Or that's the thing of the past? We're going to talk about it. It's going to surprise you. So don't give up yet. If you're a goody two-shoe, people used to call people who had integrity, there's hope yet. And if Robert Gatewood has his way, I'm going to promote you. I'm going to make sure that the people that have integrity still have a fighting chance. And that chance is not as remote as you might think. Let's see here. There's a nurse, Nicole Lanton. She's in really hot water. She was in a car accident this past week where she ran through a red light in California. And she literally mowed through a couple of cars, cut a couple of cars in half, and 6 people died as a result of her actions. She's come under really tough scrutiny. She was an IC nurse. She was a traveling nurse. She was contracted by a couple of companies, including Kaiser Permanente. Some people say she was involved in a dispute with an argument with her boyfriend, and that's what made her angry. And she jumped in the car and drove through this red light at almost up to 100 miles an hour. And now, like I said, her background is being scrutinized now. They say she was a dancer, a waitress, some kind of. But my point is, I've been saying this for so many times, and I'm going to say it again. What you do does not affect only you. It affects the people you know as well. Because whenever you do something that gets this amount of scrutiny, the reporters, the TV shows, the news people, they're going to dig in everybody's background around you. So this is just a horrible, horrible accident. And I really pray and for everybody involved and their families, and just wish that we all are more mindful of our actions as we navigate this world, and just know that there are consequences to those actions. Now she's facing 90 years in prison. I mean, it's really a horrible story. Horrible story. How in the flash of an eye, how your life can be turned so upside down. Now I told you guys this marketing work was not for the weak of heart. A marketing director was found with 39 guns and ammo in his office closet. Now I'm going to tell you, I have some pretty tough customers. Some of my customers can really challenge you. But it never occurred to me to stash 39 weapons and ammo in the closet to deal with them. But this marketing director in the hospital in New Jersey found out he actually was making threats, and he has been found and he has been arrested. So just word to the wise: do not make threatening calls, and don't stash 39 weapons in your office closet, no matter how tough marketing can get sometimes. Well, let's see here. Now, robbers are getting a little lazy, or they're more efficient now, depending on your point of view. Seemed like this next story, we had a case of I guess it went something like this. Give me a Big Mac, some fries, 3 chocolate chip cookies, a big soda, and all of your money. That's right. There was a drive-through where the robbers went to McDonald's and they robbed in the same day. So they got their Big Mac and they got their money from them. I think if you're going to be robbing the McDonald's, you might want to maybe consider going to Burger King for your burger. You go to Wendy's down the street. That's just too much McDonald's in one day. I think you kind of setting yourself up because they got the camera at the first McDonald's. Then you go down to the second McDonald's, and there you are again, this time robbing the place. That's not really, I think that's been a little lazy, robber. You got to up your game there. You're going to be in the robbing business. Now, I never thought of, when I think of back-breaking work, I think of things like pipe fitters, and loggers, linemen, coal miners, but I never put flight attendants in that category. Well, a Southwest Airlines flight attendant, they had a hard landing. I guess this is something for all of us to think about when we get on these airplanes now. It wasn't a crash. It wasn't even an emergency landing. It was a hard landing. I guess sometimes when you hit the ground, that when you're coming down out of the sky, you can hit that pavement pretty hard. But anyway, it literally broke her back. She suffered a compression fracture to her vertebrae. Now, that's very interesting. I never thought about that. That could happen, I guess, to anybody. She was in the jump seat. And when the plane had the hard landing, it actually injured her back. And when they actually called it a broken back. Wow. That's something to think about, I guess, when you get on the plane now. Resting in peace now it's not so restful after all, as we have discovered. An elderly woman's funeral took a turn when her son started a fight with his sister and knocked over the mother's casket. You thought an undertaker had an easy job while he was trying to run over the rest of the relatives with his car. I don't know about this story. That's too much. And these rideshare stories continue. It is hard I'm telling you, this rideshare over in Temple Hills. They found a rideshare driver inside his vehicle over in the DC area here in Temple Hills on Wednesday. I really don't know how this is going to end for these rideshare companies. Can they really ever be safe for the passengers and the drivers? I know safety is a relative term. I mean, we could walk out here today and get hit by a bus, so we can't not cross the street because you might get hit by a bus. But the rideshare business model asks you to pick up total strangers and lock them in a car with you. And you also, if you're the passenger, you jump into a car with a total stranger. I like the ride share, to be honest with you. I like what they provide, the service and convenience. I use them myself. But there's something just hasn't. There's got to be some more technology, some more safety. There's got to be something else. There's a piece to this puzzle that hasn't manifested itself yet. So Uber, Lyft, whatever the other companies are, you need to go back to the drawing board. There's safety element. You haven't quite cracked it yet. Something's wrong. This story is told too often, every week. Let's see here. Also in the DC area, Georgetown Cupcake has closed temporarily. Now, if anybody who's taken my classes in the DC area, over to Prince George's Community College, at the Women's Business Center, the Bowie Innovation Center, a few other places, I use the Georgetown Cupcake as a example of social proof. I would always, when I'm talking about the 5 reasons people buy, pride, physical need, make us save money, and the last one I would say social proof. And I would say, go down the street to the Georgetown Cupcake Factory right now, and there's a line out the door. So I was just surprised that Georgetown Cupcake Factory was closed by the health department. Now they're saying there was a licensing issue, something about the lease or the license. But boy, I'm thinking that maybe they could have seen this coming and maybe done some PR, or because they are iconic in the DC area. Everybody knows about the Georgetown Cupcake Company, right down M Street over near, right off Wisconsin. And I used to have to go past it to take my daughter to school, and the line would be there every day. So I think it's sort of interesting because I have used them as an example of a good business model, at least for marketing, because they created social proof, which I aspire for every one of my clients. You get people to buy your service because others are buying it, because they will feel left out if they're not buying it too. And I thought Georgetown Cupcake, they were the embodiment of social proof and the desire to belong. Bandwagon effect. Anyway, we're going to take a minute and come back. We're going to talk about how and why you should make integrity a component of your brand. I know it's hard out here for a brother and a sister. You trying to walk the straight and narrow, you trying to do it the right way. And every time you look around, some upstart, somebody who's breaking all the rules, just making all the money. And it makes you wonder, is integrity, am I wasting my time and energy and resources on this integrity thing? Shouldn't I be skirting around the edges of the law as well? Shouldn't I be treating people like crap? That seems to be profitable. Well, you can still have integrity and success. They are not mutually exclusive. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So don't you go anywhere. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, and we will be back in a minute. So hang on. As you listen to the items in the news, if you see something you'd like to opine on, go to marketingpulpit.com and you'll see a method for getting onto the show where you can voice your opinion as well as promote your upcoming event or product, or if you have a book.
I just really want to encourage people to get their things organized and documented.
Have parents who are involved in their child's life, but still things happen.
I found out a lot of things about social media. It can help you, and it also can harm you.
Time children in the street, they're going to learn from something. So it's best that they learn from us.
Hey, I want to promote me and another partner in comedy. We decided to collaborate.
I had a conversation with somebody the other day. They were talking about filling out some type of application. And they were like, well, if I do this, I can probably get away. You said get away with what? Well, because everybody don't do it. I'm telling you, somebody under the sound of my voice right now is thinking about taking a shortcut, maybe fudging the numbers, exaggerating your experience. Don't do it. Gatewood is telling you it's not worth it. It might take you a little longer, might take you a little more hours, might cost you a little more money to get the legitimate result. These shortcuts are going to get you. And it's because of technology and social media. You can't beat them. You can't. You can take that to the bank. Good morning, Anthony. Freedom ain't free. Don't let that word free throw you off. You have to pay for freedom. This to me has been one of the biggest challenges for most of the folks that I've been trying to push this freedom train onto. They want freedom, but they're not ready to sacrifice. They're still under the shackles of materialism. That's an enslaver. So when you get into this mindset and you start talking about being free, part of the cost of admission is you have to sacrifice something, and you can do it. Because I know in this season of celebration of independence, started with Juneteenth. Let's run it all the way up to July 4th. And let's give new meaning on what it means to be free. All right, welcome back to the show. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host, and we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. Go to marketingpulpit.com to find out more about the show. You can listen to past shows. You can go to YouTube also. We have everything categorized by by subject matter, by the length of the show. We have 1-minute blurbs. We have topics on the news. We have, you get the sermon separated from the entire show. So we have all that organized over at marketingpulpit.com. Now we're going to talk about integrity for a second. Now, I feel compelled to do this today because there's so much going on right now where integrity seems to be, some people actually believe it's a thing of the past. We see it in politics. We see it in business. We see it all around us. And we have good, hardworking, honest business people who begin to question whether integrity is even worth it. I want to tell you a little story, and this is so profound. There was a famous photographer. I think his name was Cedric Lewis. He took a photo of matter of fact, let me put the photo on the screen. He took a photo of a vulture waiting for a starving child to die. Now, the photographer was proud of this work, and he often talked about it. He would mention it to people as he's showing off his work. And one day somebody asked him, they said, by the way, whatever happened to that child who was in the photo? And the photographer paused for a minute and he said, well, I don't really know because I had a plane to catch. I had to catch my plane. I don't know what happened to that child. I got to put this back up. As a child, the vulture is literally waiting on the child to die so he can do what vultures do. So the photographer, when asked what happened to the child, he said, I don't know. I had to catch my plane. And the person who asked the question replied back to the photographer, there were 2 vultures present that day. And of course, the photographer looking around said, I only see one in the photo. And he said, there was the vulture on the ground and there was a vulture behind the camera. Now, this bothered that photographer. It haunted him the rest of his life. So much so that he eventually took his own life. That's what can happen sometimes when we really place profit, fame, celebrity over humanity. There's this cognitive dissonance that really eats at you on the inside. Sometimes you go out, you get that dollar, you get that contract, you get that job, you get that certification, that license, you get that money. But what did you do to get it? So we're not often faced with something as drastic as what happened with this photographer. But we are constantly faced with decisions where integrity is on the menu. And how we rise to that challenge, it says a lot about us as a society, as a person, as a community. But as a business owner, it's even greater because our decisions affect so many people. It affects our stakeholders. Just imagine a world in which we live, in which people place humanity over avarice, over greed. Imagine where the good guys still win. Imagine a world where it actually pays to have integrity. Now, that's a world I'd like to live in. So, as far-fetched as this may sound, it may sound idealistic and utopian. I still believe it's attainable because integrity brings into play three important components of marketing. So all you good folks out there who still have integrity, I'm letting you know, you still have a shot at this. You don't have to go to the dark side. You don't have to be eaten from the inside because you chose greed over humanity. Now, let me just tell you a couple of ways you can justify this humanity, this integrity. The first marketing concept I want you to consider when you're weighing whether to be ethical or have integrity or not, there's one called find a need and fill it. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, integrity is in short supply. As a community, as a country, as a nation, we need integrity. There is a need there. And if you have believed everything else that Robert Gates has told you over the years, if you believe nothing else, go back to the core founding principles of a business. You find a need and you fill it. Right now, a great need is that we need integrity back in society, in our businesses, in politics, in our churches, in our communities. That is sound marketing. Another marketing principle that comes to play, supply and demand. When something is in short supply, the demand increases, and so does the value. Right now, integrity is in short supply. There's not enough to go around. The supply is less than the demand. So if you apply marketing principles that I've been bestowing upon you over the years, you will realize that integrity and lack thereof is in demand, and because of that, people are going to want it. I know I do. I want integrity. I want to see it, and I'm going to patronize the people that have it. Another marketing principle that comes into play. So I'm preaching this morning because many people feel like they have to go to the dark side to succeed in business or in life or in politics. I'm telling you, that's not true. That's not so. You can be very successful and still maintain your integrity. I've made a decision. If I have to go that way, I'd rather not succeed. But the two are not mutually exclusive. You can have integrity and still succeed. There's an acronym called LTV, lifetime value. Another one of my principles on my 10 commandments of marketing. And that is when you get a client, you want that client to stick around forever. You can't succeed on a revolving door of clients. So under the lifetime value principle, when you practice integrity, those clients will be with you forever. They're not ever going anywhere. That's true. I know that's the way I operate. Sometimes I don't get the service that I wanted, Sometimes I don't get the price that I wanted. Sometimes it didn't arrive fast enough. Sometimes it arrived and the package was a little torn on the side. Sometimes the person that answered the phone didn't seem contrite enough when I voiced my discontent. But that integrity is an equalizer. It's a salve on those wounds. So when all else goes wrong in your business, if you can fall back on integrity, you can still keep those clients. You can still keep the door open and you can sleep at night. So, yes, there is a need, there is a want, there is a short supply. You don't have to go to the dark side to succeed in business. Now, how does integrity manifest itself in your business? Your products. First of all, offer products that help society, that help the young, that help the old, and not hurt them or harm them. Price. Don't gouge people just because you can. Be fair in your pricing. And you may occasionally have to make exceptions for the vulnerable people in society who can't afford what you have, but they actually need it. Your locations. Make your service available to the people that need it. Make it available fairly to all. Even if they don't have the big bucks. Even if they have to struggle. Even if their neighborhood is not the best. Make that product and service available to all. Be honest in your promotions of your products and services. Don't lie. Don't stretch the truth. Be honest with people. Speaking of people, your stakeholders depend on your integrity. They don't always tell you. Matter of fact, most won't. I've never had anybody that walk with me yet and say, Robert, I'm counting on you to have integrity. They assume it. I never forget one of my testimonies. Matter of fact, it's on my website. A young lady, she was an author. And she said, and that's when it really drove the point home for me. She said, I like Mr. Gatewood because of his integrity. And that's one of my favorite testimonials. And the one that causes me to pause the most. Of course, I know marketing. I know accounting. I have a very good understanding of the law and politics. But when somebody comment on my integrity, that's when I really stick my chest out. That means Reverend Dr. Gatewood, my dad, he did it the right way. So your customers, your clients depend on your integrity. Your vendors, your suppliers, your employees, your contractors, your partners, your funders, they all assume that you are going to treat them with integrity. Don't let them down. It's simple as that. And you can still be very successful. That's the point I'm making this morning. There's this crazy notion out here that you have to give up your integrity to succeed. It's not true. So I'm going to close with this. When we decide to go into business, some of us will exceed beyond our wildest expectations. Some may never get to first base, and some may strike totally out. But at the end of the day, integrity is a non-negotiable as far as I'm concerned. Because let's just suppose you don't knock that ball out of the park. Let's just say you don't make it to first base. Let's say you totally strike out. Can you imagine how disappointing your life would be to be a failure and have no integrity? I don't want that. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So integrate integrity in everything you do. Never forget that you are not a passive bystander when it comes to fairness. You should be an active participant in spreading decency. Trust your principled instincts. Actually, it comes with you. If you were brought up in a decent household, or if you had mentors along the way, it could have been your teacher, your pastor, somebody along the way instilled in you a shred of integrity. And sometimes that little devil on this shoulder, the angel on this one, follow the good. It will reward you time and time again. Enlist a righteous army of others in your war against the forces of intolerance, bigotry, hatred. Fight for justice. Treat others with honor, respect, dignity, even if it costs you time and money. Last but not least, yield not to the temptation of social influences that attempt to drive a wedge between you and what you know in your heart is right. Yes, I had to have this sermon today because sometimes we're talking too much about money. We're talking too much about sales. But this world is in a mess right now. I don't think we have enough voices out here pushing integrity, decency, fairness, justice. I plan to be that voice. Is it going to make me any money? That's not my goal. My goal is to make an impact. My mission has not wavered. To build strong businesses in our community and put our people to work. And I consider integrity a patch on that quilt. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. This has been a great show as always. Thank you for participating. Good morning, Attorney Bradley Thomas. Thank you. Integrity is indeed in short supply. Thank you, Gracie, for your comments. Thank you, everybody else who's tuned in today. This is, as always, we'll be back next week right here on the Marketing Pulpit Show, where I'll bring you another message. But start today, if you haven't already, or if you have been towing the line of integrity. Don't give up. Hang in there. It's going to be all right. Good guys. They do still win in the end. Okay. All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up today. We'll see you next week right here on the Marketing Pulpit Radio Show. Go to marketingpulpit.com. Feel free to share this show with others. Also, we'll have the show on YouTube. It's on Facebook. It's on LinkedIn. It's on Twitter. And by all means, like I say, share it on your social networks. And we'll be back next week right here on the Marketing Pulpit. And if you want to be successful, you have to do these 3 things. 4 if you count integrity. Do the right thing. Do it at the right time. And you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work. It's not just a little pocket change you're giving these kids when you hire them. You're giving them life lessons. I'm not saying be just a stick in the mud, but you just can't get too close to everybody. I want to make sure that technology does not leave you on the sideline. And let me tell you about a thing called goodwill. That's one of your company's most valuable assets. You have to advertise. Don't be penny wise and pound foolish. We can't keep depending on others to put our children to work. Do the right thing. Do it at the right time. And you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work.